right now. We
Oh,
are live.
okay.
I wasn't ready for that. Like, it's a lot of change.
We weren't ready for your chin.
It's a lot. I wasn't ready for your chin. I wasn't ready for that. Like, it's a lot of change.
We weren't ready for your chin.
It's a lot. I wasn't ready for your
put that.
chin.
That's my bad.
That was UV.
There's a lot of echo
So
right now.
so all of you are clean shaven. This is the first time so how do you guys feel about it? Do you like it or do you
yours? You know what? We were saying offline that a deer raised how much money? 20,000 total.
315.
And like with this look, the clean, Indian CEO could have raised $2 million easy, like easy.
Oh, easy. Now, yeah, clean shaven like that for sure.
Yeah,
now
you
look
should
like
go back to Sequoia.
Man.
Okay, go back to Sequoia. Go back to wherever else.
Don't forget about the accent, bro. You got to put a little bit of the accent on.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
You got to channel your inner Badri.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pardia is going to be the next big thing. Let us do it. We are going to be the next Facebook.
I have a question.
Should we be drinking? Should I have a beer?
For podcast discovery is always the problem, my friend.
Oh no, you can't do that, Carlos. No.
Now
I'm a racist. That's it.
Guys, ban him.
Wait, I have a question. If I had a beard for 10 years and I never shaved it, does that mean the skin was never washed for 10 years?
That's interesting. Did you use the beard oil?
That's like saying the hair on. That's like saying this. That's like saying your scalp is never washed. Of course, your scalp is washed. The water gets in there.
Yeah, it doesn't clean anything. It just gets in there.
Yeah. I mean, did you put like shampoo on the beard and like really like get in there? What? I don't know.
I probably probably like once a month I did that. Yeah.
Okay, so then you're fine.
Okay, so. Well, now that we got through that,
moving on. We're over it.
Look, even in the comments, so like Cameron Vincent, so weird without the beard. It's like, is this the first time people are seeing you without the beard?
Yeah, bro. It's the first time my parents saw me with the beard. Literally 10 years. Like, I'm not joking when I say it's.
Wow.
They were like, I need to see some idea. We're kicking you out.
Wait. 10 years. You were 15 years old with a beard.
Yes. Oh no. I was 13 with a beard. I started shaving at I started shaving a while.
I didn't have any facial hair at 13. I don't know. Maybe a tiny little stash or
Chris
something.
knows he's Indian. You know that.
Vitaly had the hair. You had the hair like down to here, dude.
I had like 3 long.
The Nirvana.
Oh yeah, the long hair. Yeah.
V, if you could grow a beard, would you grow it? Like, can you?
You can grow a beard, of course.
I believe at this point I can, but I'm not interested in that. No. I like this, 5 o'clock shadow type. 3 days in.
It fits you with the hat. It fits you well. You're like a new Joycey type of dude with the 5 o'clock. Like, it's your thing.
Yeah, come to my house. You know what I'm saying?
Hey yo!
What a great comment.
That is great. I was the
yeah, right. 13, 14 years old. This is a full beard. Imagine that. Oh my God. We should see a picture. 13-year-old full beard. That'd be crazy.
I gotta find one. I'll show you guys. It wasn't full, but it was enough where people in my class were like, "Why do you have hair on your face?" It was
right.
So you were that guy. There was always that one kid who like puberty hit them way too early in school. And
yeah, this Adam's apple, bro, popped in 7th grade, and it was like my voice got deep, early.
Oh.
And yeah, the beard was there, the hair was there, and it didn't make sense.
I didn't do the algebra homework.
Yeah, basically,
it was cracking all the time. To talk, why you basically you had to get out of a lot of fights. Basically, people were kicking your ass.
Yeah, it was weird. It was definitely an awkward phase, 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade. But then by 10th grade, I realized, wait a second, I should just let it grow, and that's when I started like completely letting it.
Let it grow.
I couldn't.
All right, let's talk about the market. 2023. We've got to get some predictions in. Vitaly, you're up first. What's your first prediction for the new year?
For my prediction, you mean what's going to happen in the whole year? Well, I think we're still in for some bit of a trouble. I think we covered in our last episode that until the Fed actually pivots and we have a real pivot and we have a real drop in rates, I don't see any reason why we turn bullish. I have no belief that we're going, to the moon at this point. I think it's still not quarters.
What if they just decide not to raise rates anymore?
No, that's not enough. Remember the charts we went over last time that there's a period of stagnation where they don't raise rates and then they drop them. So the S&P technically bottoms after that point, at least from the couple of times we looked at. Once again, I'm not a macro guy. I'm still going to DCA it into good stocks. I'm still going to do that, but I don't expect anything to happen for a while. At least 2 quarters, maybe 3 quarters. At the end of the year, though, I'd be surprised if we're not higher than January 1st, 2023. So that's my prediction. We're higher.
By January, you mean 2024?
By
you're higher.
By quarter four, the end
will be higher, right, than we are in January 2023.
I am pretty sure that Google and Amazon, and they're not, where are they going? I mean, like, let's start looking at these prices at some point. Where are they going? You know what I mean? Yes, they can go a little bit lower, but by the end of the year, I'd be shocked if I didn't make any money on them.
Okay. Chris, you have a prediction for the market?
Yeah, I'm kind of inclined to agree with Vitaly. I think we are probably looking at a very weak first and second quarter. I think what I'm trying to look for right now is a credit event. You know, like usually with these recessions, the Fed always seems to push the economy a little too far, and then a credit event happens, and then shit goes really bad, and then we end up having to, you know, come in and bail out. So I think it's a very similar thing is going to happen where right now, I think real estate is where I'm looking at a possible downturn, a significant downturn, because real estate is the one thing that was like appreciating faster than any other asset class over the last 3 years, right? Mostly because of like how the pandemic was working out. So I think we're in for a real estate crash, and if that happens, then yeah, that's going to be bad. Like, it's going to definitely drag a lot of other sectors down. I also think that we're probably going to see a wave of bankruptcies. Like, there's all these SPAC companies that came out a couple of years ago. Their balance sheets are starting to dry up, and no one's going to lend them any money. Like, they can't go into the equity markets because their equity is trash. So I would say right now is a good time to high class your portfolios. And just like Vitaly said, just, you know, if the company that you're investing in is not cash flow positive, like, and what I mean by cash flow positive is real cash flow positive, not just, oh, we're making money but we're diluting the shit out of our shareholders. Like, dude, you don't want to be in a company like that. You want to be in a company that's generating cash flow, that can stand on its own feet without having to go into the equity market or go into the debt market. Because even if they go into the debt market to finance themselves, they'll be paying like crazy amount on interest. So right now, I would say if you are still invested in a lot of these SPAC names that could possibly, you know, 10x according to Chamath, who, by the way, I don't know if you guys know, Chamath started giving the money back. He actually liquidated some of the SPACs that he was originally slotted for. So just to show you guys, there's
new SPACs, or you mean the SPACs from that he did in 2021?
No, the SPACs that he had like lined up for like de-SPACing, right? Where basically he's getting money together, and then, you know, because that's what you do. You buy all the shares up at $10, and then they use that money to buy a company. So there's a lot of funds that were gathering money for SPACs, but they ended up saying, no, it's not the right time. Let's get the hell out of this. So yeah, I think right now we just look at your portfolios, find the companies that are not making money, that are not cash flow positive, and consider whether you want to be in these companies long term, because the chances of them surviving this downturn are a lot less than companies that have cash coming in. You know,
yeah. So remember all the junk we were buying back in 2021? Yeah, it was all going to the. Like, if you think that's like anyone who's still in the delusion that they're holding on to this, and
you don't think a rock can go to the moon in 2023?
Which one?
I don't believe in tattooed chef anymore.
Which one? What did you say?
Like a picture of a rock, you don't think it could sell for $2 million this year?
No, definitely a picture. No, a picture of a monkey holding a balloon.
Bro, what is? Hold on, let's do this right. What is the floor on the Bored Ape Yacht Club? I'm going to OpenSea right now, because OpenSea was valued at $13 billion. For those that don't know, it's like the Amazon of NFTs. Now I do not think they can justify a $13 billion valuation because the trading volume is so down. So the Bored Ape Yacht.
Crypto's special. I think every 4 years there's a big bubble and it bursts. That's
the floor price is 76 ETH, so about 90 grand still for a monkey.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
And if ETH goes up, then these NFTs will, I mean, theoretically should be worth more as well, right?
Yeah, well, I was talking more about actual investments in equities. I think if we can talk about crypto as a separate thing, but you should stay away from crypto completely unless you're just investing in like the blue chips of crypto. Just like we're doing Amazon and Google, you should really stick to Bitcoin, Ethereum. Everything else is just a complete speculative bet. It's nonsense. And I mean, I'm sure Chris would probably say that Bitcoin is a speculative bet and it's nonsense. Am I wrong on that? Or
No, actually, I think there could be a possible future for Bitcoin, but it's all going to depend on the use cases. Like anything, if you right now, okay, there's one crypto that I'm actually researching right now. It's called Polygon, or if you guys know Matic.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah. No, I'm not investing in them, but for me, it's always a nice thing to research.
Polygon people.
Huh?
I said he's shorting Enphase and investing in Polygon.
No, I'm not investing. So here's the thing. One of the things I want everyone to understand.
Enphase is not a bad short right now, though, V. It's been falling.
So. Oh, dude, it's definitely one of those companies that's going to take
talk about that a little bit.
It's going to get its butt.
Oh, but if you want to make money on it,
the more you want to short.
If you want to make money, you short the motherfucker and you make money. I'm tired of this nonsense of you guys saying you got to go. No, if you short it and it goes down, you make money. That's true. How the stock market works.
Yeah.
So don't put all this nonsense about if you want to make money long term. No, forget that. If it's going down,
this is
overvalued.
He's in charge.
Well, okay. For 2023, I actually think first 2 quarters, we're going to see some surprise beats. This will be a prediction that I'll make. I think we're going to see some surprise beats, and the market's not going to know what to do with it. I think that they've been underestimating, and I think the fear has caused a lot of these price targets to come down, and the market's just not going to know what to do with it, especially until the Fed pivots. So I think it's going to just be a really volatile year, but I do agree that I think we're going to end on a net positive. And I also agree that real estate is finally going to come back down to reality. And so it's going to be a weird, I don't know. I mean, I could see money even coming out of markets moving into real estate. Like personally, that's something that I would do on my own, right? I would actually move some of my stock market or crypto gains over into real estate this year. So yeah, I think first 2 quarters, see some beats.
You have an interesting thing. Like if Google does come out, if like you're saying, what if Google does beat, or Amazon does beat, or Meta does beat? If that actually,
how does the market deal with that though? Considering, like, you know what I'm saying? Like we've seen it before. Even when the Fed was printing money, like Intel will beat earnings and then they tank the next day. So how's it going to be in this kind of environment when money's so expensive? I don't know. I think it's a dangerous year, but there is way to make money. Like overall, I think that that's going to be positive for us because we're not messing around in Polygon. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't be messing around with that stuff.
So let me explain a couple of things. Just because I talk about a stock or crypto, whatever, because I'm researching it doesn't mean that I'm bullish on it. Just because I'm researching about it doesn't mean that I'm going to be investing in it, because there are certain things that are really good in terms of use cases that are uninvestable, right? And there's the opposite too. There are things that are just like really good investments that you would never think that, like, wait a second, what do you mean? Like this is not something that's like a high growth thing, but it's such an essential part of the world. So the reason why I'm researching Polygon and Matic is because there's underlying technology that's being adopted by things like MasterCard, right? A lot of financial institutions are actually using it. So I wouldn't write off crypto completely saying, oh, there's no value in it. The technology that's underlying the crypto may be there. It's just a matter of how do you monetize that, right? So does it mean that you should buy Polygon and that's how you monetize? No, I don't know. Like that's kind of stuff that right now people should be researching, because what tends to happen is you have this initial stage of euphoria where everyone just piles in and they don't give a crap what the company does or what the product does. And then what happens is there's a giant crash, but there's an entire level of infrastructure that remains that ends up being a huge driver for growth for the next 5, 10, 15 years. Like this happened a lot. Like if you look at like in US history, the train system, at one point, like the rail system in the United States was a bubble. Everyone and their mother was just throwing money into rails, like rail all the time. And then what happened? The bubble burst. But guess what? All the infrastructure was still there. So the US had one of the largest rail networks for ever. And they were actually making money hand over fist.
You're forgetting Amtrak took it all over.
Huh?
Amtrak
eventually
took it all over, basically.
Yeah. There's still a lot of commercial lines that are still out there. But the point is that when you're looking at industries, right, you typically want to look at the industries that have collapsed and then see what the market potential for the ones that remain are. Because what happens is all that capital that was put in there, it doesn't go anywhere. It's still there. It's just a matter of the companies that survive, how did they survive? What did they do? Like we saw during the .com bubble, everyone and their mother was throwing money at, you could just put xyz.com and people would throw money at it. But guess what happened? Once the market collapsed, everyone consolidated, and a lot of those tech companies are the ones that we ended up seeing nonstop growth for the next 20 years. So I would
Do you have any crypto?
I don't have any crypto.
Oh,
No.
Well, to your point, I want to go back to what you said. You're supposed to buy right now, 2023, companies that are cash flowing, positive cash flow, because I know we discussed them, and I do have SoFi. I know I make fun of Amit sometimes for talking about SoFi. I do have SoFi shares, but there's no way that's going to do well. Like, that's just not going to happen. It's going to be a while before that all recovers. So those kinds of companies, I feel like they're in the portfolio, and you just got to forget about them, and hopefully they don't go bankrupt. That's the hope, right? But really, you should be focusing on the cash flowing companies. Forget about crypto for a second. Like, I keep going back to Google and Amazon. Like, they're down 50% plus. Meta is down still 70% or so.
Mm-hmm.
70.
I mean, like, these are the obvious clear winners when the market recovers.
Can we transition to Meta as a prediction? What do we all, just before we get into it, one word, is the stock higher than 115 at the end of the year? Carlos, yes or no? Higher?
Yeah, I think so.
Chris,
I think this
higher?
is the year.
150. That's my target.
150.
Like, from an intrinsic value, it's about 150
Okay, we'll get
right
to,
now.
you want to put a price on it? A price target? Like Chris?
I don't know if it's at the end of the year 150. I think it's higher than now. I think that, but I'm actually waiting for it to be over 200, and I have leaps that say that I think will go over 200. I have $100 strikes.
2023. Where do you think it ends up? Is my question.
Just if you have to over 150.
Over 150. Yeah. Carlos, what do you think number wise? 2023.
I mean, over 150. I think this is the year Apple legitimizes the VR space, and what happens after that, I don't know. I think around June, in June of this year, Apple finally enters the space, and then we'll see what happens. Like, we have to then see what happens. But I think as soon as that happens, if it does, I do think there's going to be a lot more eyes and a lot more attention given to what Meta's doing now. Like, I don't know, did you guys get I got this thing on LinkedIn that I actually wanted to share with you. Like, Westbrook Media, the company owned by Will Smith, did this party that was all in VR this year. Did you guys see that? The Shaquille O'Neal Shaqtacular, whatever. No. It was like a New Year's Eve party it was just really interesting. It came up on my feed, and I was like, this is something that I can see now companies are trying to push this thing. It might not have hit you guys, but I'm like, okay, there are people that are really trying to push this, but I do think we need a player like Apple to completely legitimize the space. I think that's going to happen this year. And then I think we're going to find out the legs that this metaverse and Oculus Reality Labs has. I'm going to try to pull up a link, and I'll send it to you.
I want to show a couple of things. Can I bring them up?
Yeah.
Share screen.
Were there any virtual slaps thrown around?
No, the slaps are still in real life.
Let me try entire screen.
Shout out to 130 people being here on a Sunday night. We hope you guys had a great New Year's.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys.
I think
New Year's. Let us know in the chat if you did anything fun, did anything crazy.
Yeah, what did you guys all do? Where were you guys? Ball drops, midnight.
I shaved my beard.
Did you really? That's what you did?
Yeah, bro. I did it live last night.
Oh shit!
It was great. I saw 5 minutes of it.
Chris helped me because I didn't know how to shave, bro. He was like, "Put the hot water on you." I was like, "What is this?" All right, should I share it?
Yeah, sure.
It's stuck on StreamYard.
I just want to show. So I know we're talking VR. Apple once again supposedly making a product. All of these things, but this is just digital ad spend predictions, of course, 2030. So if we are currently here at around 617 billion, whatever, 500 to 617 billion. If someone said something, I didn't hear anything.
No, I'm just trying to figure out how to share.
By 2030, if we're supposed to be, these are projections, of course, but by 1.2 is this trillion. So we're talking about a double in terms of just ad spend. So I think if this is not evidence that Meta should be benefiting from this ad spend. Chris, I don't know if you want to add something to this.
Yeah, I think there's multiple avenues for monetization that Facebook or Instagram and so on and so forth are doing to capitalize. But I think what's more interesting in terms of where Meta is right now is that they've got slapped because of the whole metaverse spending, right? But it's kind of weird because a lot of the spending that they have isn't going to the metaverse. I think a lot of people are thinking that Facebook is now all of a sudden is just the metaverse and that's it, right? And that's the final product that you're getting. But they're forgetting about the entire core businesses, that they have multiple streams of income coming in. And also there's other parts to their operation that's generating a ton of cash. One of the things that
also to do with them not knowing exactly, like the audit of where the money's going exactly.
No, they have that. They actually
not knowing exactly where the money's going.
No, they break it down really well. Like the thing is, what happens is a lot of the spending that they do is R&D, right? R&D, which some of it is definitely going to the metaverse to do research on stuff that surrounds there, but a lot of it is also going towards AI, right? Like a lot of the spending that they did on capital expenses, most of that stuff was in AI for data centers. So one of the things that I've been researching is, what are they doing now? So this year, they're cutting back on spending on personnel. So you guys saw the 11,000 layoffs on Meta. On top of that, they're actually scaling back some of their data center spend. On top of that, they're actually right-sizing their real estate portfolio, because if they don't have as much employees, they don't need as much real estate anymore, right? All of those things add up into cash savings for them. And that cash is going to be piled right back into share buybacks. One of the things about Facebook is that majority of the total compensation of employees is in stock-based compensation. So what does Meta usually do to mitigate the dilution? Well, one, they just buy back a shit ton of shares, right? So right now, if you are a Meta employee, your total comp was going to be $300,000 because, they're high-paid tech workers. And now because the stock price tanked 70%, your comp just got cut by a 70% on the TC, not 70%, but a significant portion. So now, in order to kind of make sure that the workers are paid correctly and actually attract talent, Meta is going to have to boost their share price much higher. So what are they going to do? They're going to do a ton of share buybacks. Right now, while the stock is still low, they're going to be
did a lot at 250 though with share buybacks.
Yeah, and they're still going to do more now because they're generating so much cash flow. It's on another world, right? So now all that cash flow is going to get piled into share buybacks to get the stock price to be back at a level that's more comfortable. To me, I think that's about $200 by 2024. So I think this is.
Can you pause? There's a whole thing going on in the comments. Who's been banned? I want to know. I want to know the gossip. I don't care about this Meta thing.
Okay, we're gonna spend a minute on this because he's probably gonna clip this and make it. There's this dude on YouTube that just hates Palantir. He hates Meet Kevin. He hates all these guys, and so he comes into the chat, comes into my Discord, and he's like, blah 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 blah. He just starts making a mess.
What's his name? What did he say?
I don't even want to. No, I'll tell you off. I don't want to say his name. He doesn't deserve the attention of the publicity. Okay. But he just this dude's in my Discord, literally causing. It's like he's like sad about his life. He's just.
You can block people, dude. Did you block him?
I didn't block him because I was like, he'll make new accounts. But at this point, I'm just like, all right, I'm done with this guy because I'm just like, this is ridiculous.
Okay, we don't want to get too far into it, but yeah, I agree with you. $200, absolutely, if not sooner. By the way, because if you think about how fast when the market does turn, it always overshoots. First of all, even if the valuation in your mind is worth 150, I actually think it's worth over $200 right now. But I think when it turns, we go up pretty fast. Whether it stays there, that's a different story. But definitely the calls I have will be worth a pretty penny, which I can sell. So there is a good trade to be made here by the end of the year, I think, on Meta. I do want to point out one more thing. Let me just share this thing as well.
And after you do that, I want to talk a little bit about Google as a digital ad stock in comparison to Meta, along with ChatGPT and the implications of that.
Yeah, sure. Both of those. And in fact, here I'm sharing our Discord. But if you go on Amazon, which I was just curious, because there's some articles that is Meta selling, of course, the Quest. So not to the Quest part as opposed to the advertising part. If you look at just reviews in terms of who's winning this VR race, and I tried to look up, the reviews for Apple's VR. I couldn't find any, Carlos, just yet. But right now we have
at the Apple.
Yeah, the Apple VR. But here we have 75,000 reviews, and you're like, okay, 75,000, big fucking deal. They have 75,000. Who gives a shit? Then you look at other things that are very popular, and I don't understand why they're so low. Why are the reviews so low? HTC Vive has 251 reviews. There's different versions of HTC Vive. I tried to look up other things as well, and I just couldn't find the same level of engagement, the 75,000 reviews on Amazon. I'm not saying
what's the price point of the ones that have
no,
75,000.
they're more expensive, and they're not the same thing. I mean, they're not exactly apples to apples. Meaning, you need a computer, absolutely,
Yeah.
but that's why the Quest is so good. That's why it's a standalone VR device. I'm just saying, there's not as many people as passionate, obviously, about this device. And if you read these comments, they're very positive comments about this device. That's one thing. And this guy, I like this guy, Daniel Pronk. He's a value investor, but he went into the whole Google case on what's going on and for advertising. And you could have just changed this to Meta stock is a huge opportunity. Like, the whole video is basically discussing Google, but you could have changed it to Meta. So I think this is worth checking out, because some of these projections in terms of like ad money and revenue applies directly to what Meta is doing with advertising. So I think there's a lot of things being missed about Meta because we still hate Mark Zuckerberg. But at the end of the day, their business. At the end of the day, their business is actually very strong, extremely strong, and ad spend is growing. The Oculus is a fucking hit, complete hit. Whether they sold out this Christmas, I have no idea, but they're winning that race currently. So we'll see what happens. They still need to go from the 10, 15 million they have right now to 100 million. I agree there. And if that doesn't happen, then my bull case for the Oculus is dead, because they need to get over 100 million. I mean, the Nintendo Switch has 100 million. If they can't beat that,
don't you see the difference that Google as a company offers? It's a search engine. It's a search engine that everybody uses, whereas Facebook is a social media platform that requires new users to come in and actually use the platform as a social, for social interactions. This is the difference.
Huh? So I'll just say
I hear what you're saying, but those 3 billion users.
But Carlos, one thing real quick.
In other words, Google and Facebook are not exactly the same. Like, Google is a search engine and Facebook is a social media platform. That's so yes, they technically make money the same way, but I'm just saying they're fundamentally a different service.
The question that I would ask is that how much do you actually search on Google versus how many times are you pulling up your phone to look at your Instagram for whatever? Like, me and my wife, we go back and forth with Reels now. Like, she sends me Reels all day long. I send her Reels all day long. We're kind of addicted to Reels, right? We're always sending each other stuff. Like, I must have said Happy New Year to like half a dozen people on WhatsApp. And then I did it on Twitter, and some of it I did on Instagram, people that I follow. So it's one of those things that social media is here to stay. Like, I don't think social media is going anywhere. Is it going to change its form here and there? Yeah. But one of the great things about Facebook is that for some reason they're able to take other products, copy them, and then integrate them into their larger platform and actually be able to monetize it way better than what other people can. Like, if you look at Snapchat and what their monetization is, it's like $3 per user, whereas Facebook is like 40. All right.
So let's talk about ChatGPT then, because Carlos, you're talking about Google versus Facebook. ChatGPT, you guys all know about it. Is there any potential for that to massively disrupt Google? Because it won't disrupt Facebook. ChatGPT is not showing you pictures of your friends, right? It will disrupt if it does. Not yet, right? Unless we have AI friends and all that stuff. How do you feel? I know, Chris, you had some really good comments on Twitter over the weekend. I said, so I needed to go to a car wash over the weekend, and I said, how is ChatGPT going to find me a car wash? And then Chris mentioned a really good point. He was like, what if it indexes all of the relevant information, highest rating, lowest price, etc., and just gives you the result versus Google showing you 17 searches?
Actually, right? I'll tell you a better use case. And this is something that I just discovered like probably a week ago. I ended up getting charged on PayPal for something, right? And I was like, oh, hold on a second. What the hell is this? Like, I didn't authorize this charge. I did authorize it. But so I went and I actually started like, trying to figure out what the charge was. And I found out, I logged onto the website that had originally put the charge on my account. And it was like a third-party service. And I was literally chatting with what I thought was a person, because literally that's how good the goddamn AI bot was. But the responses were so goddamn quick. And it was like, hey, I think there's a charge on my account. It doesn't make sense. And it was like, oh, what's your account? What's your, username? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, what was the total amount for the charge? It was this. Okay, and then it felt like I was talking to a person. And then at the end of it, I was like, wait a second. I think I just spoke to a fucking bot. But that's how good AI is becoming. And I think with ChatGPT, especially if it's integrated into the right services, literally you'll be able to do a whole bunch of things that right now require a person to talk to. Like, let's say I want to change my flight on Southwest, right? Like right now, what I still need to do is go onto the website and do the whole process and everything else. But what if one day I just want to call and say, hey, change my flight to such and such, and the AI bot can do all that stuff. If you look at Google actually demoed something very similar to this. While you guys talk about this, I'll actually bring it up, and it's actually really cool to see, like, because that's where technology is headed.
Yeah, the demo. I know what
Google has DeepMind, first of all, and to assume that Google won't have something very similar to ChatGPT, probably coming up soon, by the way, is ludicrous to assume this. Okay. ChatGPT is not doing anything. It's like, I love when people talk about like full self-driving, and this is similar comparisons, by the way. You're like, oh my God, they're working on AI, right? The reason Tesla is going to win this race, you know why they're going to win? It's one reason. Anyone?
FSD?
The data.
Yeah. It's the data, stupid. That's it. Who has the fucking...
Hold on.
Yeah.
The data on the World Wide Web is public. So ChatGPT can index
That's not how this
data.
works. That is not how this works.
Why is this not how this works?
Organized. Okay, you don't just like your little chat.
No, hold on. Let me give my explanation first.
You don't just organize all of the world's data because you feel like you want to do it now. That doesn't.
But ChatGPT has the AI models are what's proprietary here, not the data. Like FSD, the Tesla dash cam footage.
I know what proprietary. I know what you think. What you're saying is, but all of these models. Okay, I'm not saying they're not doing anything possibly more proprietary, but this is all public source. It's part of the university system. This is where papers come out, research happens, these people integrate it into commercial products, and then add on top of it. Of course that happens, but this is not something new that they're doing. They're doing something that's already been done for the last 15, 20 years. They're doing a great job. Don't get me wrong. That is happening. But the people who have the data is already Google. They have the engineers, they have the data. They already have, I'm sure, similar stuff. They're just not releasing it to the public like ChatGPT is doing. And I like ChatGPT. I think it's great. It's actually a very useful tool. But does it replace Google? No. And can Google just add it basically like Facebook bought Instagram or adds this feature from Snapchat or whatever? It's going to be another thing that's integrated into Google. That's just what's going to happen. And it won't be called ChatGPT. It'll be called Chat Google or whatever. But Google owns the data. This is what happens. They've compiled it already for the last 20, 30 years. And do you Bing things? I don't understand. Like, why do you think you're going to ChatGPT things?
It's a question of if the process is... So that's what Chris said, right? I was like, I need a car wash. And then Chris was like, what if you could ask this thing that gives you a better answer? That's all it is. If it's a better answer.
It's another tool.
And it replaces the advertising model because there's a paywall behind it. And I'm paying this shit $10 a month. So I'm going to use it if I'm paying it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only argument that I'm putting out there. Chris, I share this.
All right.
So how can I help you? Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd. Sure, give me 1 second.
It turns out a big part of getting things done is making a phone call. You may want to get an oil change schedule, maybe call a plumber in the middle of the week, or even schedule a haircut appointment. You know, we are working hard to help users through those moments. We want to connect users to businesses in a good way. Businesses actually rely a lot on this, but even in the US, 60% of small businesses don't have an online booking system set up. We think AI can help with this problem. So let's go back to this example. Let's say you want to ask Google to make you a haircut appointment on Tuesday between 10 and noon. What happens is the Google Assistant makes the call seamlessly in the background for you. So what you're going to hear is the Google Assistant actually calling a real salon to schedule the appointment for you. Let's listen.
So how can I help you? Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd. Sure, give me 1 second. Sure, what time are you looking for around? At 12 p.m. We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15. Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.? Depending on what service she would like. What service is she looking for? Just a woman's haircut for now. Okay, we have a 10 o'clock. 10 a.m. is fine. Okay, what's her first name? The first name is Lisa. Okay, perfect. So I will see Lisa at 10 o'clock on May 3rd. Okay, great. Thanks. Great. Have a great day. Bye.
So one of the things is this was about
That was like 6 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. So
that shit's not real anymore, though. Like it's been 6 years. They haven't executed that, right?
Well, we don't know.
Well, what do you mean we don't know? No one does that.
The point is right. The point is you wouldn't.
No. Right now, by the way, you call a lot of services and you deal with an automated voice, just like he's saying. How do I know Google is not working all these people?
But my point is Google's
if they ask you to do the survey at the end, if they ask you to do the survey on how the customer service was, usually it's a person.
Oh, you do the survey?
Someone in the chat used it. Because I don't see most people doing stuff.
It's already live. I'm sure it's already live too.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the thing that AI is doing right now. It's being integrated into our lives and we're not even noticing it. That's what I was trying to get at when I explained to you guys. Like I was having a chat with what I thought was a real person. It ended up being a goddamn bot that did everything that I needed it to do. Imagine the efficiency gains that you could get by having something like that. Like how many times do you call a number and you get this, your wait time is 45 minutes. What the hell? 45 minutes? What am I going to do?
Back.
Huh?
Why can't they call me back in most cases? And they don't.
Right.
That's also
there's actually apps that most of them offer a service, but there's actually apps that will just call you back when it's ready.
No, they have that now.
Take it to its logical conclusion. Say everything works perfectly. Take it to its logical conclusion. So now you can have an AI bot that's going to call and make appointments for you, and then eventually even further than that. Now on the other end is an AI bot that can answer that call. So you basically. The bandwidth is unlimited, right? You can make unlimited calls and answer unlimited calls. But then like, okay, so then where are we then?
Yeah. And I think this is the kind of cool things that we're going to see over the next 10 years. But here's the thing, we may not see it right in our face just yet. I think there were a lot of technologies that are hiding in the background that power our daily lives that we don't even know about, but yet they're generating tremendous amount of value that people don't know about. Like, Here's another really cool example. I didn't know about Salesforce, and I used Salesforce for like 5 years. It was so weird. Like one day I was just like, wait a second. What? Like I was working with a third-party vendor, and literally I would log onto their portal, and it looked like everything was that company's proprietary software. Everything was straight their stuff. And then one day, I was talking to one of the reps and they're like, yeah, just log on to Salesforce. I was like, Salesforce? Oh, I meant this.com. And I'm like, wait, you said Salesforce though. He's like, yeah, the company itself that provides the service is Salesforce, but actually it's just, we have our like product overlaid on top of it. So I'm like, wait a second, how many other businesses are using products from Salesforce? And that's the kind of stuff that it's really cool to see how many companies there are in the background that have technology that powers our day-to-day life, but we don't even know that that's the company that's doing it. Like, it's the same thing with CrowdStrike. Like, CrowdStrike is in every single one of my hospital systems, like computers, but there's no like indicator on my computer that says, oh, you're working with CrowdStrike. It's just there and it's running in the background, right? But it's generating a tremendous amount of value for the company. And like I said, these are the kinds of things that I would say are really worth researching and find out. Like what can we do?
This is my point, that ChatGPT is not going to take Google's market share, and if it does, it'll take so long that it won't matter as an investor, because Google's still not going anywhere. So I think I saw some comments that actually agree with this, that Google, Amazon, these companies are not going to be disrupted in 1 year. That's not going to happen. So in the meantime, as an investor, 2023 is probably the right time to dollar cost average into those companies, as opposed to not dollar cost averaging into those companies.
Well, I saw a couple of tweets over the weekend that ChatGPT is already disrupting a lot of the educational, a lot of the colleges. These kids are writing papers, and the teachers can't prove that it was because it doesn't.
Story about that, yes.
Yeah, because it's not a copy, right? It's not a copy of something else. It's not plagiarism, but they can't prove it. But a lot of these papers are being written by this, and they're saying this kid's never talked this way before.
Yeah,
so
can we
get into that sort of dark side?
Don't leave the ChatGPT yet, because I don't know if you guys follow this up, but ChatGPT is taking a lot of information that's actually either written, like actual written down. So we don't know what part is plagiarized yet. We don't know that yet. We don't know how their model works, because there's other examples. Have you guys seen is it Dolly? I forgot exactly the pictures. The pictures that are being, people are basically using that to generate art, right? Generate AI art, but a lot of that AI art is literally stolen art, combined, changed a little bit. You follow me on this?
Yeah.
So we don't know what's being plagiarized here, even with ChatGPT yet. We're not actually sure, because the art part of it, I forgot what the name of these programs are that are getting popularity, but they're somewhat plagiarizing some of this. And there's big problems in the art community now that they see their work being plagiarized. So
yeah, and I mean, I think that'll be a concern, and eventually, I just don't think that's a big concern, because like Google, if I search for something on Google, and like if I search for Elon Musk on Google because I need him for a thumbnail, and the Washington Post Elon Musk image pops up, and I steal it for my thumbnail, like no one cares, right? Like no one really so I don't know. I think the internet's so democratized, at the end of the day, it'll be a net positive for people using AI-based services to create text or images, eventually videos, which means I don't think we care that much.
Maybe.
But we'll see. I want to transition to Tesla. We got 20 minutes left. What's going to happen to Tesla stock in 2023? Does anyone have a bold prediction? Do we get a 2x? Do we get a 3x? Do we go down another 30%? What do you guys think?
I think you got at least a 2x from here. I think it's been beaten down. That's one of the companies that I think is actually going to have a beat. I think they did a lot of pushing to get, even though Elon said he wouldn't do that anymore, like try to push for the end of the quarter. I think he realized that the importance of it. And so I think we've got at least a 2x in Tesla from where it is now. And we'll see, because Tesla feels like it operates like a crypto on the stock market. And so it's incredibly volatile, and it trades much more on sentiment than a lot of other stocks. And so it's hard to say. I think we've been sold this idea that a lot of what happened to Tesla this year was based on Twitter, but I don't think so. I mean, if Meta's down 70% and Amazon's down 49%, I mean, I think this has a lot more to do with the Fed and the macro. So we'll see. Again, if we're looking for that Fed pivot, I think if Tesla can produce numbers that are either on par or can beat what people are expecting, I think we're at least a 2, maybe 3x this year. I don't think
this year.
Yeah, this coming year. Yeah.
You think we're at 2x in 1 year? 200% in 1 year.
Yep. By the end
even
of the
with
year,
the macro, with interest rates.
Yeah, sure.
Well, 2x, you mean a double? You mean 120,
like a double.
40.
240 exactly.
Oh, so that's a 1x. Okay,
I mean, if they continue to do what they're doing, and keep in mind, we're supposed to see the Cybertruck this year. If we don't see the Cybertruck this year, this is a $60 stock. Let's be honest. I mean, if they don't hit that, with all the things that Elon Musk has been sort of optimism bias on the time frame, if we don't see Cybertruck this year, that's a big problem. But if we do see Cybertruck this year, I don't see how we're not going to see at least a double, if not a triple, this year.
Well, I think the first couple of quarters are probably going to be the best in terms of indicators on where Tesla's headed for the rest of the year. I mean, we all know the car market's pretty much tanked over the last 6 months. How much of an impact is that going to have on Tesla? I mean, you look at their backlogs, they've pretty much mostly have resolved. They're also cutting back on pricing on certain models also. So margins could also get compressed, right? Which means that tremendous margin that they had over the last couple of years may not necessarily come forward in 2023, in which case people might end up, reevaluating what the price is. I do think that they're pretty fairly valued at $100. I don't think that there's much room for, oh my God, it's going to double or triple within the next year, or it's going to go down 50%. Also, like that's kind of delusional to think that they'll go down so much, considering that they're still generating a tremendous amount of cash. Their value is still there. It's just margins, I think, are definitely going to be compressed, and the growth rate to grow 50% year over year, especially when the industry that you're primarily targeting is on the decline, is going to be rough and it's going to be hard. So that reevaluation might keep Tesla grounded pretty much.
Just to interject, though, I think that Tesla's not operating in a bubble, and I think a lot of the legacy OEMs are I think that we're in the valley of death. We're hearing echo.
Chris, your mom wants you. Go eat dinner.
Oh, sorry, I was muted too. You're good, Carlos. Keep going.
No, I'm just saying. I think you're right. If legacy automakers was still operating exactly, if it was just business as usual, but I think we're approaching the valley of death, part of the EV adoption, and I think this is where we're going to start to see some of the collapse of the legacy automakers this year. And so, even if Tesla has a bad year, if everything else in the market has an even worse year, and you're seeing ICE vehicle sales crater and they're not able to ramp up EV production, and Tesla already has a lot of the deals necessary to ramp EVs, I don't think that it's going to be as much of an impact on the stock price if they're not selling or if their margins do get compressed, because compared to, say, Toyota, which was selling 11 million vehicles, is now selling 7 million vehicles. I mean, what are they going to sell this year? What are they going to sell ICE vehicles? You know what I'm saying? And so I think this is where we're going to actually see the gap that Tesla has in terms of their progress on getting EVs to mass market versus the other OEMs. That's my
there's also the financing thing too, right? Like financing a car right now is really expensive considering what's going on with the interest rates.
I did just finance my Tesla. I was at 4.5% before the last raise. So I'm not sure if it's over 5% now. But you got to, right now, these cars are not being financed by people looking at $20,000 cars.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that 4.5% did not make me stop. Look, I don't want to pay more in interest. I'm not saying that, but it didn't make me stop.
Why didn't you just buy it in cash? Aren't you rich?
Well, thanks for outing me, on the internet.
It's because Vitalik can generate more money on his cash than he's paying in interest. That's a simple
Not
equation.
with investing in Meta. He's down so much.
Yeah, I'm down in Meta.
That's what those leaps. He got the leaps, though.
Yeah, you'll find out rich people don't care about this because they take money from one thing that pays for another thing. That's usually what they try to do. So the 4.5% comes from somewhere else, not from me directly. But anyway, that's a whole different story.
But actually, I think it was Vitaly made this point on our last podcast, is that this is the first time that Teslas will be eligible for this $7,500 tax credit. There's some weird shit going on in terms of like whether or not the Model Ys or which versions of the Model Ys. But if you think about it, every other OEM has had access to this, and this is the first year that Tesla will also have access. You're looking at driving the price. It's hard to say because you just got a lot of forces pulling in different directions, and so we have to see where the dust settles. But I think overall it's going to be a net positive for Tesla.
I think one of the things Tesla really needs to do is get in the lithium game, because
it is
lithium. Yeah, I know, but it's not to the level that they need to get into, because if you look at Tesla, one of the greatest things about them is that they're vertically integrated, right? Where they're literally the battery manufacturers, they're the car manufacturers, they do the infrastructure on the electricity. Hell, they have the solar part, which partially powers those things. So all their stuff is fully, but the problem is they're reliant right now on suppliers for the raw materials for the lithium, because they have to buy that from and refine it and do all this stuff. And so I would think that now Tesla, especially with Elon, the way that he is probably the next thing, which is, and I heard rumors about it, which was the next thing they're going to do is invest in refineries for lithium, so that this way, all they have to do is just buy the raw material, and then they can refine the lithium and integrate that into their supply chain. So this way, it's almost like the one thing Elon is really good at is cutting out middlemen. Like, he hates middlemen. If you notice that, like, think about all the
best
marketing,
product, the best part is no part, the best, right? Exactly.
The best partner is no partner.
Right.
Okay, I do have something to add. I went on a road trip to Michigan in my Tesla, okay? And I actually didn't think the supercharger network was a big deal, by the way, before I went on the road trip. I was thinking, like, I have a charger at home. I know people in the city will obviously charge at superchargers or go to local places to plug in. But I was thinking, who's going to do that in the middle of nowhere? Because I figure you go home and you just charge, right? But everywhere I went, those superchargers were busy, like in Ohio, in Michigan. Like, these are bumfuck areas that I went to. It wasn't like the main cities, and they were busy. So I started thinking, and me and Carlos are going to do an episode, which you guys should also look into, that what is this supercharger network work when you project out to Tesla having 10 million vehicles produced per year in 2030 or whatever they're going to make? because these are some of the projections. Let's say it's 8 million, but that's per year. What happens to that supercharger network? And I don't know if you guys are thinking about that, but that they're basically building an Exxon replacement. Yeah. They're building some sort of energy replacement, and nobody. I know
nobody else is doing that.
Nobody's actually including that in their projections, and Wall Street is not including it because it's a small business right now. But if the numbers are true,
how do they monetize that exactly?
They make a spread on the electricity.
They charge you for the energy. And right now, it doesn't even matter to them because they're not trying to make money on that. They were trying to just build a network. That's what they're trying to do. The cars subsidize all of this stuff, right? But if you think about everybody else, Ford doesn't have that. GM doesn't have that. They don't have a mini Exxon being built. So I love that everybody compares this to car manufacturing, but this is not a car manufacturer. You can say, yes, they make cars, of course. But then they have this whole other Exxon business, energy business that's happening, and it's a little baby right now. And Wall Street is not going to project out to 2030 about it.
What is the margin on it? Because the margin in a gas station is non-existent, right? They sell you like donuts. What is it a loss leader? I mean, like
right now, yeah, they're not making any profit on it.
No, but at scale, like what is it? $20 to fill up your.
Well, okay, so hold on. It's a different model. I want to point this out. It is a different model. So you go to a gas station right now. Usually there's an attendant, right? There's a big plot of land
that's in Jersey. In Jersey, you're not allowed to put your own gas.
Let me finish this point. This is important. I went to all these Tesla superchargers. Once again, I wasn't thinking this way before, but I went to all these Tesla superchargers. They're not located usually in gas stations. They're in places like malls and Myers is like a big super center, like a Walmart. They're in Walmarts. Yeah, I was in Walmart, and they have a little plot of land. Literally, it's the size of a car times 10 stalls. Like it's a small little tiny plot of land from this company that they're just renting this space for minuscule amount. There's no attendant there. You have to take your hand and you have to plug in your own fucking car. Okay. The cost of this network must be minuscule to them to maintain and to keep up. And as it grows, this could be a massive revenue generator. Okay. This is not the same thing as a gas station. So whatever market cap Exxon has.
Where does the revenue come from? The actual charging of the electricity, because gas stations don't make money on the gas.
It's the spread. Money. It's the spread. The amount of electricity. Yeah, the electricity comes in from the power, the utility company, and then Tesla adds a few points on top of it. Right, that's the spread that they make, and then they sell that to the customer who charges with.
So B, how much do you pay to fill up your Tesla right now?
It varies per location because the electricity rates are different. Yeah. But some places were 35 cents, some places were 40 cents, some places were 43 cents. This is per kilowatt.
$30 in a charge.
To fill up my whole tank at a supercharger station is around 24 bucks to $30, somewhere in that range to get 300 miles out of it, somewhere around there.
Okay. Chris, you're muted.
Well, my point is that I know it's bearish right now, and I'm not saying. I'm actually not saying Tesla will double and triple this year, but I do want to point out that anyone not DCAing into a company
really bad service.
It's just a lot of data that they have to crunch and put in here. But let me just put it the charts. Hold on.
V, go ahead. Finish up.
My point is that I know there's a lot of people who are bearish on Tesla right now because it's easy to be bearish on stocks that are down, right? Everyone's bearish on Meta, Google, Amazon, whatever. My point is very few companies like Tesla are even growing at 30, 35%, even if that's what it is, and it's not 50%. Very few companies in the stock market can do that. Tesla is one of those companies. So to your point, Chris, I think your valuation is completely shit when you're saying it's $100. And no, but that's a reason for that, because you know very well that it's growing at 30% plus, right? You know that part of it, I believe. Plus, you know they have this whole supercharger network. You know they're doing this energy business. You know that is happening. So when they're growing 30% plus and they're being valued with a forward PE of like 25 or 22 now, whatever it's dropped to, it still feels undervalued now. A little bit. Maybe not a lot, but a little bit undervalued. And that means DCAing is probably the appropriate thing to do in a market like this right now, as opposed to saying, oh, I'm going to wait till it's $60 because I'm a fucking genius. It's probably better to just DCA into quality and then let just the market do what it's going to do in the long term, which is, probably reward Tesla for what it's doing. Mm-hmm. I don't hear you, Carlos.
Carlos, you're muted.
Let me just go back. Okay, so just to give you an idea, Model X Plaid, 100 kilowatt hour battery. I added 67 kilowatt hours of energy. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. 67
It's
kilowatt
multiple
hours.
did compress, genius. Whatever ours said, like the multiple did
Look what it
compress.
costs. Look what it costs. That's what it costs to go 67 kilowatt hours of energy.
Yeah, yeah. If you compare that to a gas car,
that's like three-quarters of the tank of gas.
Yeah, yeah.
So
it's a no-brainer.
$17 versus, I mean, we filled up when we went to Big Bear. Gas was the cheapest that we've seen. We went to Big Bear this weekend for to do some snowboarding, and it was like $67 to fill the tank, and that was the cheapest, right? It would normally be like $120. You're looking at whatever, $18. And most of these superchargers that we go to have solar panels installed and batteries. So you could say that unless they're charging at night and the batteries are dead, most of the energy that's coming in that they're giving to customers is coming in for free.
I mean, the solar panels, I don't think the solar panels are paying nearly the amount of electricity. I think more so
the batteries. Putting power in the batteries. They're putting power into the batteries.
But what I'm saying is the batteries are probably getting charged up during off-peak hours and then releasing during peak hours, because that's a lot of money. Now, here's the thing, though. If Tesla gets this right and ends up becoming much, much larger in terms of supercharger network, dude, they can charge whatever they want. They can increase the price even.
They can charge more money. They're starting to open it up to non-Teslas. Like
that's the other thing. It's a whole business.
But they could charge non-Teslas more money. They could charge a Ford.
I'm confused about that. So Ford is gonna have to get charging from the supercharger network, which means they're going to be paying Tesla essentially.
No. Ford has nothing to do with this.
Yeah,
like a Ford car. Can a Ford car?
A Ford customer can charge at a Tesla supercharger, but theoretically, Tesla could charge them whatever they want. Not in the United States, but in Europe and overseas, they're starting to open it up, so they could charge them more money, and still be less than what it would be to gas up the equivalent ICE vehicle, and they could still give a discount, or what would be seen as a discount to Teslas.
Now here's one thing that no one seems to talk about, but I think it's important. The Tesla supercharging network is fucking reliable. Okay, everyone that I spoke to said the same exact thing. Supercharger, they go to charge, they never have a problem. You go to Electrify America, you go to any of these other ones, half, if not more times, they're waiting because the bullshit does not work. Okay, whatever technology that they're utilizing to get this thing integrated, it's not working. So it's almost like a decentralized way that they're doing it. And these charging stations, the worst thing you can possibly do in terms of market perception is go to a charger and the fucking thing doesn't work, and you got barely 5 miles left on your car, right? That is the experience that I hear on every single other charging company, with the exception of the Tesla supercharger.
Yeah, and here's the comment: gas stations will integrate EV charging, and I was answering that point before. They won't, because it's a different business model. If they integrate that, their main business model gets disrupted and destroyed. What do they have this giant plot of land for, right? That'll get.
But think about it. If you owned a gas station and you had to stay in business, you could slowly transition. Like if you had to stay in business,
I don't think you'll make as much money. I think the point is that
you won't make as much money. Yes,
you don't want an operator there. Tesla wants a tiny little piece of land that they rent from Meyer or Walmart or whoever. Tiny, small, low rent. They put in their little station. People plug in their own cars. That's the business model that works. Where it's akin to like a smaller app developer coming in and taking over some market share, right?
I heard something, or I was watching a video recently that was talking about what they call the natural resource curse. And it's about like the countries where a lot of the natural resources, say oil, that have those natural resources, are the curse is that they never develop. Those countries never develop because it's too easy. They have a natural resource, they basically give it to them. So there's never any incentive for them to innovate, right? But with something like EV and solar, the companies or the countries that innovate and can use technology will win. And so a gas station is a pretty primitive sort of business, right? You have this liquid that it comes to you refined, you put it in the ground and you deliver it to customers at a certain price. But EV charging is something that's just a lot more nuanced than that. And so, yeah, I could see why a gas station is not going to be able to necessarily just make the switch and switch over to EV charging. But you also have the disadvantage where, what was that channel that we've been watching a lot of recently, the not so out of spec reviews? The guy that did out of on the Discord, the guy that was like testing all these chargers. This is exactly what you were talking about, Chris. A guy would go to a Rivian charger at like whatever an EV Go station, and like none of them would work, right? And so you have like the car companies that have to get their technology right, and then you have the technology, you have the EV chargers that need to make their technology right, and they all need to work together under what could be really laborious conditions to make a really good experience for the end user. Whereas Tesla integrates the whole thing, and they can create that experience for the end user. And so this is like it's like a sleeper. It's a sleeper hit for Tesla that is like it's just a bullet in the gun that people don't necessarily see right away. And once we get more of these other OEM EVs on the road, I think that's where you're really going to see the problems that these legacy systems are having. Like it's like Ford and GM having to rely on third parties to supply the charging for them.
Now, here's one other thing.
Let me ask this question real quick, and then Chris, you got it. What city did you see the superchargers?
There was a lot of city. I mean, me and Carlos are going to do a full episode where I have my whole route. So it's all along Michigan. A lot of Myers are basically what Tesla made deals with. And so once again, I don't know, that one city was Gaylord, Michigan. Like, I'm not even kidding. This is not a joke, by the way. I'm not trying to make a joke.
Wait, hold on.
Yes, there is a place called Gaylord.
Vicinity, Ohio.
Hold on, we're about to show this right now. There's a city named Gaylord, Michigan.
Oh yeah, no, it's real.
This is real stuff. I'm not making this up.
4,000 people live here in Gaylord.
And they have a supercharger. Go ahead, take a supercharger. And we went skiing there. Yeah. Go to the supercharger. Show that it actually was there. That I'm not fucking around here. There's other small little towns, Yipsetapa, something, Ohio, like little tiny towns with superchargers all along them, and people were always there. This is what's amazing.
Yeah, this is it, right? This is it.
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea why people were there. First of all, I even came up to some people. Electrify America is also, and I was talking to some people who owned Rivians and stuff. And I saw a bunch of EVs, but Teslas were everywhere. It's crazy. I don't know why they're there. I thought I'd be the only guy charging. Honestly, it's just not how it is. There's people charging.
So
I just looked it up on the map, and there is one supercharger in Gaylord, Michigan.
That's the one I was at. No. It's not one. It's a stall. It's 10 superchargers.
Let me see.
Meaning it's 10. It's a 10 stall or 8 stall, something like that.
But it tells you. It says yes, there are 10 ports.
Yes,
and
there you go.
Is 250.
And the thing is, I think Tesla made a bunch of deals with Myers because I always saw them in a Meijer or a Walmart. So they just made all these deals and took tiny little plots of land, so small at the corner of the lot where you could then just park, charge your car, go in and buy whatever you had to eat. There's plenty of restaurants around there as well. Pretty smart of them. This is why the gas station thing is not going to work out. Gas stations are usually self-enclosed things unless they start spreading out and making it like where you can go sit down and have food and whatever, go shopping. So Tesla's being smart in this, that they're not doing gas stations. They're doing something different. I can't explain it. It's something different.
It's smart because a gas station is a place that you pull off the highway, you get the gas, 5-10 minutes, and you leave. But at a Myers, if you're going there anyway, you're probably going to spend a minimum of 30 minutes. And so they know that you've already got some
everybody parked at the supercharger, went into the Meijer, and spent some time doing whatever the fuck they were doing, buying condoms probably. Right. But that's what they were doing, and then they came out.
Trying to increase that population above 4,000.
What's a condom?
Wait, what is it? No, I'm serious. What is that? That's like an album or something? What's a condom?
Is that on your Tinder profile, Amit? What's a condom?
Has Wall Street actually... Well, listen, me and Carlos are going to do a full episode on actually valuating this out, and everybody should do this episode or do this valuation themselves. But we're going to do a full episode discussing
what did you think of my valuation with Steve?
What?
I value Tesla with Steve. Did you watch that? Remember?
Well, is Steve the guy who's sort of bearish on Tesla? Was that the guy?
Yeah.
Well, I think he's treating it like a car company.
What was the TLDR?
TLDR was Tesla should be a $200 billion market cap, maybe.
Yeah. And I'm not saying you can't get there, by the way. I'm not even saying this year anything could happen. Absolutely. I'm talking about the future. I'm talking about what is this worth if Tesla succeeds in being an Exxon, you know?
At 330 billion market cap, and that's just one.
That's just one Exxon, right?
Are you and Carlos buying right now heavily?
I'm buying. I'm DCAing.
Yeah.
The thing is, me and Carlos already have a lot of Tesla.
Yes, we know you're up 30x. We get it. I'm asking, are you
right now it's more like 7-8x. Okay, so
Yo, at the peak, how much were you up at the peak? It was like a 20x at the peak?
20, 25x at the peak. Yep.
And you were selling some of it there, right?
I sold very little. I'll be honest. I sold more Enphase actually at the peak than I did Tesla, just because I believe so strongly in the vision of like what's going to happen with Tesla, and I believe in Enphase too. But I was smart enough to take some profits on Enphase, obviously at 300.
Are you annoyed the 20x has gone down to 7x, or are you excited?
Oh yeah, who would be happy about that? But it is an opportunity to DCA, so I am DCAing again. I didn't want to DCA, by the way. My whole thing is like I'm ready for the moon. I'm ready to pack my bags. I'm ready for the yacht. I need the mansion.
We want the toga parties in Mykonos.
I was ready for all that.
When you were up 20x, if you had sold, would you have enough to get the yacht, or
no,
not enough?
No. Well, I mean, I'd get some sort of a yacht.
We could rent the yacht, but I want to buy the yacht.
No, I could have bought a yacht, but I didn't want. I needed a really good yacht. I need the 11-person, pool, little helipad on top. This is what I'm going for.
Yeah, I think one thing with Tesla for the next 5 years that I think maybe not a lot of people are looking at is the semis, because the semis, think about how much energy those semis are going to be drawing, right? With cars, you can charge them at home. Granted, that's a doable thing. Right. You can't charge a semi at home, right? No. So I think, and that network hasn't even built yet. I think Tesla will eventually build out that, because in order to roll out the semi, you're gonna need to build out the infrastructure for the semis, so that this way they can work properly, right? So I think
there is actually a great video that was like maybe last week came out, and that was discussing the mega charge.
Tesla has the only supercharger network basically building out for semis. Kind of crazy.
Yeah. Right, but even the best superchargers right now are not sufficient.
No, it's going to be mega packs, right?
It's got to be a 1 kilowatt.
No, 1 megawatt. 1 megawatt.
Yeah. Now here's the thing.
Yeah, right. 1 megawatt charger.
Think about all the infrastructure that you're going to need, but then the accessories that come with that. Battery replacements. Where do you go? You go to Tesla. Right? Anytime you need to get like new windshield wipers, you have to go to Tesla. Anytime you have to get new headlights, all that stuff you have to get from Tesla. They're going to make so much money on accessories for trucks, because if you guys drive anywhere on I-95, anything, there are more trucks on the road than there are cars. All right. The amount of logistical infrastructure that's out there for trucks is nuts. Like I was driving in Georgia the other day. Like we were going from Savannah to Atlanta. Let me tell you, it's trucks everywhere, because guess what? That's the one thing that you can't charge at home. You can't do at home. You're always going to need that. And I think the companies like Love's, I don't know, Racetrack, the ones that are like really built for like, around truck stops, they're going to integrate this stuff. They're going to need a lot of land for it. And then these mega packs are going to be just giant cash flow machines for Tesla.
I want to point out to what you're saying, because you are right on the semi thing. And that's a whole other bullish scenario that's playing out. But the service part that everybody ignores, they're like, oh, this is another loss leader for Tesla, just like the supercharger network, the service centers. Right now, really, there's the way to fix your Tesla, you have to go to a service center. It's unlikely you're going to go to a third party. Maybe in the future, you'll go to a third party. But how much money will they end up making if the network is built out and there's 10 million vehicles a year just on these service centers? Like, is anybody doing the math on that? Because you still have to fix shit on the car. I don't care what Elon says. You're still, at the end of the day, 7 years in, going to have to fix something, and you're probably going to go to a Tesla service center to do it. So I think there is a recurring revenue thing also happening there. Maybe not at the same speed as like an iPhone monthly charge, but there is something happening there.
Well, when you consider that that the 40% margins that Tesla enjoys on the sale price is what the legacy automakers enjoy on service,
right?
And you start calculating what that becomes if Tesla's, it does get ridiculous. But right now we're working with such small numbers because the Tesla fleet is so small. You're right, but these are things.
It's like 3 million vehicles total.
Like Elon said, he's like, these are like ridiculously large numbers that just become like unfathomable to even.
Yeah.
To even calculate.
So all of this is like, even Chris concedes the bull case, I think, here that Tesla's.
I like we said even Chris. It's
he's talking about he was talking about the $100 valuation, and I'm not saying Tesla can't. I believe Tesla can go to 100, 90, 80. I totally believe that. We don't know what will happen in the next 2 quarters. Even if they beat numbers, it could still tank. I still feel that. Sure. Because once again, they dropped the price, the market sucks, the Fed is still not pivoting, blah, blah, blah. All these things are playing itself out. But how can you not DCA into something like this? I don't understand. Like, it's just crazy to me. It's like we have a bunch of shorts, I'm sure, in the comments that hate Tesla, and they're just going to be like, no, this is dropping $60. Fine, could get there, but why aren't you buying? I don't understand. Tell us in the comments, why aren't you buying if all of these positives exist?
I think dollar cost averaging is, if you are very bullish on Tesla being the money maker that is going to be in the future, I think so. I do have a position in Tesla, by the way, but not a very large one. Like,
are you willing to build it out now?
Huh?
Are you willing to build it out as it goes?
Yeah, I think so. I'll build it out, but I'll probably do it by selling puts, right? Like, I think right now there's still room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's a quick question. Here's a quick question just for everybody. Yes, like a yes or no, and maybe an explanation why. Elon has said multiple times that he believes Tesla will be the most valuable company in the world. He doesn't know when, but he believes it's going to be the most valuable company. Do you agree with that or no?
I agree with that. I think it's definitely possible.
Amit, Vitaly, Chris?
Yeah.
Of course.
The reason why I think that's going to happen is because they have a very similar growth trajectory to something like Apple, right? Where a lot of people said, oh, a smartphone is a smartphone. No, a smartphone is not a smartphone.
Right.
A smartphone, once you get into the ecosystem where literally you're stuck in it, everyone is going to be buying that. So I think Tesla is going to end up taking the lion's share of certain categories and certain segments. And like I said, they built out the infrastructure to support everything they have. They're not third-partying all the nonsense like these other companies are, where they're like, oh, yeah, you can buy a car from us, but you have to charge it at another charging station. Oh, battery, you have to go to Panasonic for that. Oh, you want to do this? You have to go here. You know, all that stuff, literally, all you're doing is just outsourcing to counterparties. You don't want to outsource to counterparties. You want to try to keep everything in a bubble that you control. That's why Apple products right now have some of the best service possible. Like, I have my phone, like I have a 10. I still use it. 5 years down the line, it's still a great product. I love using it, right?
Wait, you have an iPhone upgraded?
Huh?
You haven't upgraded from an iPhone 10?
No. Why should I? It works perfectly fine.
He did an investment phase, dude.
No.
Wait, Chris, really using a 5-year-old phone?
Yeah, I mean, it works. I don't know why. Like, I don't know what additional functionality that I need. You know, I still got the 2 eyes right there. My wife has the
I'm only kidding. I have an 11 and a 10, so I don't care about a single latest phone.
To back them up, I'd say after the iPhone 12, like the iPhone 12, when I got that phone, it worked perfectly the entire time I had it. Then the 13 worked
12.
perfectly.
Yep.
I've never had a product like that I've used so much work perfectly, like every single time. Like the 10 was a little slow, right? But this phone has just never failed.
You have what, the 12 Max? You have the 12 Max?
This is the 13 Pro Max, and I had an issue with it this week because my daughter dropped it so much that the Face ID won't work anymore. But I gotta say, I was like, oh man, it's gonna be an hour and a half on the phone with Apple. I went to the service thing just to see, and they were like, oh, do you want to speak to someone? Within 2 minutes, they'll call you. The phone rang right away. I picked up the phone and I was like, hello, and I was talking to someone at Apple, and they were like, oh, we made an appointment with you, and like gave me an appointment the next day at like a local Apple store. And eventually I decided not to pay the $300 to fix the Face ID, but that was like external damage. I've just never seen a product that I use every day like not fail. Like,
can I see
like, why do you need to upgrade?
I want to pivot to a Tesla thing because we're talking about Tesla, but I had a service call on my car. Something is wrong with the seat sensor. So I right in the app, you make an appointment for Tesla. They sent out somebody to the house because they know what the issue is. Like, they're like, oh, seat sensor issue. Okay, we got to replace that. They send somebody out. He shows up in a Model S. I'm like, do you have any tools? I'm like, what the fuck?
He like waved.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he gets his little sensor.
Point at it.
He messes around with it. He puts a new sensor in, and he's out. I mean, like, I'm like, you guys are gonna fucking win. Like, that kind of shit that they show up at your house, they fix your car, and then they leave. And they don't charge you anything because you're under warranty. Like, obviously, I was like, oh my God, even better than Apple service where I have to send it back to them.
It's true.
Oh, one other thing. I don't know if you guys saw the new Starlink the flat ones that they're coming out with now. So now what you can do is actually, instead of like the satellite, coming up and pointing towards the sun, now you could just lay it and it's flat, like on certain commercial vehicles and RVs. And literally, you don't need to position it or anything. I think eventually they're going to integrate satellite right into the cars. Because if they do that, bro, that's another source of revenue.
Duh. You don't think that the Tesla FSD is going to eventually run on Starlink? I mean, this is just
Yeah.
It's just a no-brainer to leverage your other companies. Of course.
Well,
and Twitter will play a role in somehow because free speech.
If you're in the car, and the car is completely driving itself all the time, that's plenty of time to look at tweets or watch
I'm very skeptical on that part. I'm very skeptical on that part. I don't think
which part are you skeptical on?
Did you see Marquez Brownlee when he did the video of FSD and there's like 2 times within 20 minutes he had to stop it from literally crashing? Like this is 7 years after Elon said FSD would be ready in 2014. I think it's going to take a lot of time for you to sit back and jerk off in the back seat.
I believe it will.
Like, I don't think it's going to happen.
You only need one hand on the wheel. Come on, bro. What are you? This is some new shit.
Well, it's gonna take a while, bro. This
right here. Oh yeah. That's him right there.
That guy has a complex.
It's gonna take a while for FSD,
but
man.
the point is the point is that Elon's never. FSD. Elon's point is to make FSD safer than a human, right? Like the idea of like, yes, completely autonomous with no interventions and no crashes is well into the future. But the idea that a car can drive itself safer than a human or 10 times safer than a human,
bro, that shit's not easy. It's gonna take a lot. I would think it's gonna take another 8 years for that. For you to sit back and do nothing. That's not happening.
I just want to point out all the investing right now into Tesla has nothing to do with FSD working. I don't
well, to an extent, because okay, so hold on. 2030, they sell 10 million cars. 30,000.
They're saying
base price 15,000 upgrade from. So the way people say, let me do the model real quick. 10 million cars 2030, 45,000, 25 each, 25% margin, 3.4 billion shares, 20% taxes. You get to a $20 EPS times 30 PE. You get $600 share price 6x from here. The problem is out of that 45,000, 30,000 is the car, and then 15,000 is the FSD you buy on top of the car. So if they don't have that,
let me ask you something. Do you see a world where? I think FSD will go in stages. The way you guys are talking about it, just the car just drives. I'm willing to pay for some sort of FSD, maybe not the 15,000, 20,000, but let's say the 5,000 version that just relieves stress from driving. Okay, just I can sit there and not focus on the car. Autopilot already helps with a lot of that. By the way,
hold on, but you have to focus on the road because if something happens, you have to stop it from crashing. What do you mean you can't focus?
Yes, I know what
you're saying. If you're in traffic and you just need the car to roll and follow the car behind you,
it already does that.
That's not the same thing.
Yeah, and by the way, I used Autopilot for this last trip. Was how many thousands of miles? I don't know how many thousands of miles I went. I was Autopilot.
What percent of the trip? What percent of the trip did you let Autopilot drive?
90% of the trip. 90% of the trip.
What?
Yeah,
that's a lot, dude.
Autopilot.
You didn't touch the car for 90% of the trip.
Well, when you say touch, okay, so we're driving. No, hold on. You have to keep your hands.
When you say I did not have sexual relations with that,
right with that car, I did not.
Listen, one hand's on my junk, the other hand on the right.
Oh man!
Oh my gosh! Yo, bro, but that's what I mean, bro. That Marquez Brownlee video, he had his hand there because he was a little afraid that this car.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, you're missing my point. The car stays, even in autopilot, not full self-driving. It stays in the same lane and it keeps going. The cars in front of you slow down. It slows down with them. The cars in front of you speed up. It speeds up with them. All the curves are totally fine on highways. So autopilot, not FSD, on highways is 100% functional. Okay? I've never had an issue with that unless it starts to go.
You're not scared at all when it's merging to a different lane that it's going
to autopilot. This is
autopilot doesn't do that.
So you can't even merge into a lane. What does it do then?
Autopilot.
If a lane comes together, it does merge into the lane by itself. Do you mean like goes to the right lane or goes to the left lane?
I'm taking an exit and I got to get to the right.
No. But
that's not autopilot. That's not autopilot.
Just to be clear. Autopilot is basically like adaptive cruise control. It will stay at the speed that you set. It will stay in the lane, and it will follow, and it will slow down and speed up based on who's in front of you. Advanced autopilot will allow you to switch lanes and stuff on the highway, but to get off the highway and drive on local streets, that requires the full FSD.
Full self-driving, right? And
how many years do you think it takes for it to be legit?
2030.
So 8 years, 7 years.
8 years, 9 years, 10 years, doesn't matter. Around 2030.
I think it's less than that. I think Tesla is serious about this this robo-taxi thing, and I think somewhere in 2024 we'll see the pilot program of that. We'll see, because by then they would have announced whatever that $30,000, $25,000 vehicle, which is made for that. And so I think we're going to see some movement.
Maybe they got to get Cybertruck out. I mean, yeah, if they do that, I get you, but it's going to be.
Look, who cares?
I can understand. If they make a two-seater car.
I mean, who cares if it's 8, 7, 9, 10 years away? If Tesla comes out with full self-driving, it's game over. Me and you are going to the fucking moon. All right, let's
no, seriously, because like at the start of this thing, the data wins. They already have 50 billion miles of data. So what's Ford going to do? What's Ford going to do? What's GM going to do? Eventually, they're going to have to give it up and license it from Tesla.
Well, Tesla has another competitor, by the way. Who's the one that Intel?
That's a great comment. That's a great comment.
Who's the Intel? Did they just split off? Does anyone remember? Intel split off with a full self-driving competitor.
Mobileye.
Mobileye. There you go. And I think Mobileye is doing similar things. So we're going to have Mobileye. We're going to have Tesla. We might have Google Waymo. Who cares?
So there is an autopilot taxi service right now. It's being piloted right now. Yeah. No, there is a pilot running right now in San Francisco and Austin with everything that you guys are saying. It actually does everything in the city. I don't know if you guys saw it. It's a GM.
Waymo?
Does it? No, Cruise. Let me pull it up.
Yeah. They all have their systems, but Cruise is sort of flapping around, and Waymo's flapping around because they're not general.
Wait,
you know what?
Hold on. That Cruise stuff. That Cruise stuff that you saw was a.
Carlos is gone. Google said
muted. Carlos, this is your Wi-Fi, bro. This is not any of us.
Yeah. Dude, stop streaming Pors.com.
Okay, we're getting late, so we got to end this out in like 5 minutes. Anyway.
And Uber, by the way,
I don't even know if you guys can hear me. That test that Whole Mars blog, Whole Mars catalog did against the Cruise stuff. The Cruise was using hardware that's not available to Ford customers right now. And yes, it did the drive in like a little bit less than the Tesla FSD, but that's software and hardware that's not available to the average Ford customer right now.
Well, yeah. And also, don't forget, just the last statistics I had for a Waymo car is it's like $500,000 for each one. Okay. So how are you going to compete against Tesla with just a bunch of cameras? It's going to be very hard.
It's literally driving.
I mean, look at this fucking thing.
That is the ugliest thing I've ever seen.
First in Phoenix. This is actually happening in Austin. We rode in Nessie. Moonwalk. Ginger was incredible. It's history in the making. People are very impressed.
I know, it's nuts. It's actually safer than a human driver. Safer, better than human driver.
I would ride this all the time.
There's two more.
This drive is just the start of what is a transformational change in the way we live our lives.
It's nice to be able to get somewhere and not have to have a driver. And just hang out with the people you want to hang out with.
You kind of feel like you're a part of the future.
It was very smooth. We really liked how for all the speed bumps and stuff, it would slow down.
What a ride.
That was so much fun. That was incredible. Bye, Cass.
Bye, Moonwalk.
Bye, Moonwalk.
We should do this all the time.
That was pretty cool. I'm not going to lie.
This is great technology, and it's coming. Absolutely.
So here's the thing. The whole thing that Kathy Wood is saying about, Tesla is going to have its own robo-taxi network, and that's the infinite driver. I don't necessarily think that that's just the only argument. There are other companies that are working on the same kind of things, and there might actually be a little bit ahead of Tesla because they're actually willing to integrate third-party things that are like LiDAR and everything else that Tesla is not doing. But here's the thing. The cost of those cars is going to be much more. So this is probably going to be something that's a defined product, not for consumers. It's going to be specifically for companies that want to do robo-taxis, right? So it's almost like you invest $150,000 and you get this car with all these extra sensors and all the safety gear and all this other extra shit. And all it is dedicated to do is not for driving. It's dedicated specifically for like autopilot with rideshare, because that's the other thing too. Like this, I wouldn't expect a company like that to like get me from Wichita to, you know, to Georgia. I would think that that's something like within the city limits that, you know, you want to go like maybe a few miles here, you want to go to the airport, you can just summon one of these cars, they come to you, you get in, you go. I don't care what it looks like. I'll be honest with you guys, whether it looks like a Tesla, whether it looks like a boxy car,
you know,
I just need to go from point A.
The reason it's important what it has around it is because of the cost of the vehicle. That's why it's important. Right. So if they're spending $500,000 to put that vehicle to make work on streets, what are the economics for Uber to buy that vehicle?
It's way cheaper than having a full-time employee.
No,
not have to pay benefits and all those.
And not only that, you forget all those systems use full HD mapping, so they have to keep mapping the city as it's changing. They actually need very accurate maps. The reason Tesla is doing a better job in this, and Mobileye too, by the way, so I'm a big proponent of Mobileye, is because they don't need that.
Well, I don't know, man. I just think that this is going to be one of those things that's like a dedicated system rather than a consumer product. Yeah.
Can you guys see this at all? Hold on.
Yeah.
Can you guys?
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, so this was I posted this on the Discord. This is the 23rd annual Global Automotive Executive Survey. So they poll basically 900 executives around the world. This is just something that's interesting. I want to I read through this whole thing, but I posted some of this on the Discord. This is what's interesting. Let me see. We go down. It's who do they think is going to be the players in 2021, 2022? Tesla, Audi, BMW, Apple.
Oh goodness.
We haven't talked at all. Do you guys think that Apple is at all involved in this?
Let's leave that for the next episode because we got to end it now. It's getting late.
Yeah.
But yeah, next week we'll talk about Apple. This is a good discussion though. This is a good breakdown.
I'm waiting for the Microsoft EV. That's what I'm waiting for.
The Zune ChatGPT vehicle.
The Zune EV.
Apple should buy Lucid.
Okay, that was beautiful.
I was like, nah.
No. Apple should take a swipe at buying Tesla, dude. Fuck that. Go for it. Buy it.
Apple had their chance, man.
They did. Yeah. They did indeed.
Wait. As a last thing, Apple's getting raked over in Europe now. Did you hear the App Store has to sort of
with the USB-C thing?
No, the App Store. USB-C is being debated, but
that's another thing. Yeah. That's another
part of the App Stores to be opening up soon. So as soon as that happens, I wonder how the market will react to that. If people see some people defecting from the Apple ecosystem.
Well, Chris will short it.
No. He's gonna short Apple.
That's the one company I'll never short. They generate more cash flow than God, dude. I'm not fucking around with that. That's true. The Apple has a license to print money, dude. Not doing it. Never.
We got to close it out. Dude. Kelly says, besides the Kelly and Amit podcast, this is my favorite Amit pod. I think this is one of the best. I do like a lot of pods. This is one of the most fun ones, to be honest. I think we have a good vibe here, and 160 people seem to think as well. So
that's crazy.
That's it.
I do think that we have to get a better time though, where I think more people will be available to watch. What do you guys think?
Bro, 160 is not bad. I mean, I don't know how many more.
I'm just surprised there's 160 people watching us bullshit.
Enovix, baby, Johnny. Yes, Enovix. That's our long shot. Yeah.
I'm still learning about it. I still have to listen to your guys' video on. I mean, I listened to it, but like go deeper into.
I am dubious of battery tech, dude. Every time everyone's like, "Oh my god, batteries! I have the newest technology."
Where'd you learn that word?
How many
dubious
batteries
from?
you need for 20 million vehicles?
Where'd you learn that word dubious from?
I've known it way before your stupid.
You weren't saying dubious until you listened to my morning streams where I had a word of the day, and one of the days that word.
I have a very extensive
lexicon. That's all into the cryptoverse. Come on.
I think you have a Byzantine understanding of knowledge, and it's stupendous that you actually
you called
think
it
you this word.
You called it Byzantine for like a week.
Byzantine.
He used to call it Byzantine for a week, dude.
Bro, that's how it should be called. Byzantine is so boring. Byzantine?
Just pronounce easy words wrong. Oh my god.
Imagine you're on a date with a girl, right? And you're trying to give her a compliment and be like, wow, you just look so Byzantine tonight. Like that shit's getting you laid, bro. Like that word right there.
Clearly, you haven't been laid enough to.
Clearly, Amit has updated his Tinder profile since he shaved his beard. That's a guy who's
Tinder profile.
Yo, you know they went public. Hold on.
It's been on
Grindr in
Grindr.
public, bro.
Oh man.
I'm not on Tinder. I don't have any of the dating apps. I don't need those to do what I need to do. So
They work.
anyway, that's true. They work. All right.
All right,
That's
good.
it for us. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you everybody for joining. And check out everyone's links in the descriptions. It's there. And we'll see you guys next time.
Later. Peace.
Bye.